I'm Will Terrell. Welcome to this video. So this is another people sketching video, and I'm going to be sketching this adorable little man I saw at the grocery store a few weeks back, and I don't know, he just looks so melancholy, which was appropriate because all he had in his basket was 2 little melons. That's it. He came in, ate his breakfast, bought his melons, and then went home. It was pretty cute. So yeah, I can't wait to sketch him. I like how round his middle part was. Yeah. So first, before I start sketching, I wanted to just say thank you so much to Psychra for doing the video interview with him a couple weeks ago. I've gotten a ton of subscribers from his channel, and I think it's a testament to how awesome he is as a person that his viewers that have come over to my channel are just like the nicest and sweetest people. And that says a lot about him as a creator, that's the kind of community he's cultivated. And I'm thankful for you guys showing up on my channel, and I hope you enjoy the videos from here out. And also I wanted to thank my subscribers that have been watching this whole time, because we just passed like 9,000 subscribers. That's amazing. So yeah, thank you, Psychra. I appreciate you, man. And I really enjoyed the talk. I got a lot out of it, both before and during the interview and after the interview. But anyways, so I'm gonna sketch this guy here, and these are my markers. These are old markers. They're like, I've said it before, it's like 10 years old or something like that. So I'm just gonna lay in some tones to get started with. Let's see here. So on top of doing this sketch, I'm gonna talk about something. My last people sketching video that I posted a couple weeks ago, or actually it was probably about a month now. I said something that I shouldn't have said in the video, and one of my viewers called me out on it, and I just wanted to thank you in person. It wasn't, I mean, it's not a big deal to most people, but it is to me. And what it is towards the end of the video, I mentioned Christopher Hart, and that I don't recommend his books to people, to artists, especially when they're starting out. And part of it was I was tired. I just gotten off of weeks and weeks of deadlines nonstop and not sleeping much. But that's not really an excuse, because it's not the kind of person I want to be. I'm not the type of person. I don't want to be the type of person that criticizes other artists or other people in general, because it's not useful. What I should have done is recommended books that I do like, instead of just picking one guy out and saying, I don't like what he does, or how he does it. And my frustration isn't really with him. It's that I see the potential in what he does, and I think he could be doing more. But that's my issue. It's not him. But I wanted to bring it up in this video and talk about that as an issue. Partly because it's something that has plagued my career and plagued my life, is being critical of others and judgmental of others. And it's something I'm really working on. I don't want to be that kind of person. But I thought I'd talk about why it matters in this video, and also how it relates to your art. So why does it matter? I think for most people, it's not a big deal. And in fact, I got more comments, about how they agreed with it than anything. But that doesn't make it okay. Especially as a teacher, because I consider myself a teacher more than anything, even more than as an artist. And as a teacher, it's not okay for me to criticize other people. And if you ever catch me doing that, please say something, because I want to be a better person. I want to be a better man. And this is one of my biggest issues. I think the real key is that when you judge others, you're saying more about yourself than you are about the person you're criticizing. So for me, there's a lot of things that Chris Hart is really good at. He's much better at business than I am. He's much better, much more prolific than I am. I mean, the guy's put out tons of books in his career, and that's admirable. And he's been very successful with it. And there's so much stuff behind the scenes that I don't know about that got him to where he's at. You know, he had to have been really good at networking and making connections with editors or publishers or whatever. I mean, that's an achievement, and it's something to be admired, not something to be criticized. Essentially, we only hate in others what we hate in ourselves. That's why we hate it so passionately, because we wish we were better, especially at the things that we're weakest at. And when somebody's either really successful at it, and it's something we struggle at, we have a tendency either to really admire that about them or to criticize that they should be doing it better. At least in my experience. And the other part to that is, and this is where it relates to being an artist, when you criticize yourself, it keeps you from enjoying the art that you're doing, which is bad, and it holds you back. But even worse, when you criticize others, you're spending time, you're avoiding the time that it takes to get better at your own work. And sometimes it becomes an obsession. You spend so much time worrying about what other people are doing or not doing that it's a detriment to your own career. And that has been the #1 source of failure in my life. More than anything. Because I have spent a lot of time in my career thinking other people, criticizing other people and trying to get them to do more and to be more and to, live up to a higher level of expectations without actually pushing myself to do that. And it's only been the last, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 years that I've really gotten good at pushing myself and not worrying about what other people are doing. Because it's easy. It can be addicting to worry about other people instead of yourself. It's easier to point at other people's flaws than do something about your own. The thing is, it usually, when you have an issue like this, like myself, and it's sincerely, it is something I've been working on. When you have an issue like this, it usually never starts off with malice or, with the intent to hurt somebody or to be a jerk or whatever it is. It usually starts off from a very loving place, like you sincerely want to help people. So yeah, for me, I really became aware of the issue because I didn't know it was something I was even doing for the longest time. In one of my, I think it was the second studio I had. This was probably in like 2003 or something like that. And I had a group of maybe 7 or 8 artists that I was working with. And I've mentioned this before, but I've never told the stories behind it on this channel. Yeah, it started off as just, the opportunity for a bunch of guys to get together and publish comics together. But it turned into like a big clash of egos. A lot of people fighting with each other. And in my issue, I was going around thinking people should be doing more, contributing more, striving to be more. And I still feel that way. I think everybody should strive to be their best. But through the process of this studio, I realized that it has nothing to do with me. I can still want people to do better, but I can't do it for them. It has to come from within, or else it doesn't matter at all. And in this studio, I ended up just all these people that I cared about for years, over-criticizing them for months and months, and pushing some of them away, and attracting jerks in the other direction. And that's what happens is when you get what you put out into the world. If you put out in the world that you're kind of a jerk. You're going to attract jerks. Or you're going to attract opportunities to be a jerk. Until you learn to stop doing that. And your life can be miserable. So after that studio ended, I took a long, hard look at my life and myself and asked, is this really who I am? Because it's not who I thought I was. But clearly my outsides didn't match my reality. Didn't match who I was inside. Or who I thought I was. So I started looking at my life. And I realized it came from, like, my family has a habit of doing that. You know, never in a malicious way. Like, we just want people to be their best. And especially my granddad. He was like a school principal, superintendent of schools, and teacher for his whole career. And very successful person. And somebody I highly looked up to. But I always felt like I could never live up to his standards. And I thought it was something that I was doing, something that I deserved. But it wasn't. It was just him loving in the wrong direction. I like this guy's pouty lip. The sketch was funny because I had drawn most of it and it just didn't look like him. It didn't look quite right. And then I went in and just added this little tiny pouty lip and I was like, there it is! I got it! I love it when a sketch falls together like that. It's like that final piece clicks into place and it's like, ah, I got it! I captured him! Yes. So, relating this whole theme of criticism back to art, the amount of time you spend criticizing other people is the time you should be spending on your own work, improving your own work. And it really is. It's almost like an addiction, criticism can be. I wasn't always like that, of course. I mean, there was, for most of my life before that, I'd say up until maybe my mid-20s, I was pretty, like, easygoing, and I just saw the best in people, and I refused to criticize at all. And then stuff happens. You get screwed over by people, you get your heart broken, you get, you know, just failure in general. It kind of makes you feel a little bit bitter inside, and it adds, it like sort of builds on itself until you lose your youthful enthusiasm, you lose your innocence, even though it should not be like that. The youthful enthusiasm is what keeps you going. It's what makes it worth doing all this stuff. And if you lose that, that's when you become bitter inside, and you everything you do loses its meaning. But that kind of happens. Like you get your heart broken, and you tend to go in the opposite direction, and you break somebody's heart just to understand it. And it's never intentional. Like, it just happens that way. You are trying to avoid the pain that you experienced in your previous relationship or your previous situation, and so you go out, you become very defensive of it, and you don't want to get hurt again the same way, and so you go in the opposite direction, but you end up making the same mistake of the person that hurt you to begin with. And that keeps going, and if you're lucky, you realize it, you catch it before you go too far gone. But then you meet people like Mr. Melancholy here, who looks like he hasn't had fun a day in his whole life. He's just got a lot of sadness, and all he's got is his melons. Poor little guy. life shouldn't be that hard, you know? We tend to make it that way. Just by trying to protect ourselves from getting hurt. So yeah. That's my whole thoughts on judgment, being hypercritical. So leave your judgmental comments in the in the comment section of this video. Yeah. Ooh, that pops. I like it when you add the eyes and suddenly it pops out like that. So yeah, I had a great time talking with Psychro. If you haven't checked out his channel, you need to. It's youtube.com/Psychro. He is an amazing artist, and he's a great teacher himself. He's got any kind of lesson you need on drawing a figure, constructing the figure, perspective, lighting, shading, painting. He is amazing. He's very gifted at what he does. And I'm thankful that I got the opportunity to chat with him, and hopefully I can chat with him again, you know, before too long. I like when you get to meet people and they're actually better than you expected them to be. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, you know, it's pretty cool. So what do I talk about for the rest of this video? I guess I could talk about the drawing. How about that? So, the Prismacolor markers that I use are an older brand, or older model, and they've got these chisel tips instead of the rounded brush tips. So the way that I color might be different from the technique you'll need to use for the newer ones. The newer ones are closer to like a Copic brush tip. Gotta add in the wrinkles in the elbow. So when I color in something, for example, I'll go back over this melon again. So the melon's a rounded object, so I use the tip the chisel tip to go around the bottom part of it like this, and it gives me a hard edge at the bottom of the marker. So like this. So this part is a hard edge, and the top part is a soft edge, like this. Whoop. And then when you come back around the top becomes your hard edge, and the bottom is a soft one. And I'm just lifting the marker a little bit off the page in order to get that effect. So it's got that rounded, you know, it creates a three-dimensional object like that, and you can put the shadows underneath and whatnot. But then on these melons, there's also these, I sketched in these creases. So I'm going to come in with a hard edge, and then I whip the pen, and that gives it a soft edge as it comes back up, like that. And I'm going to go back over it just to blend that a little bit better. There's lots of different ways to use the marker. I know sometimes I'll do this too, where I'll just coat the entire thing. I'll just like let the marker slowly bleed in. And you want it to bleed in. You don't want it to just be streaks. So if you go too fast, it causes streaks. But when you go slowly, the alcohol on the marker bleeds out to get rid of those streaks in it. So I use one, I'll go in first with sometimes I'll go in first and just coat the entire thing so it's got that base tone. But other times I'll go in and I'll do the shading first, so that when I do the consistent tone across it, the base tone pops out. There's a lot of different ways to use markers. There's no right way. Sometimes I'll ink the whole thing first. It depends on how messy the sketch is to begin with. In this case, it was pretty well thought out because this guy just sat there and he was my favorite. Yeah. So I do these bold strokes with the pen, and I tend to pull them towards me. Now, this is different. Like you saw in my, I have a video that's 5 tips for better line drawing. This is the technique I talk about. Is I turn the page and I pull the line towards me to get that technique. But that's not the only way to do it. I just want you to be aware. Usually when I sketch with a pencil, I draw from the shoulder and I stay loose and I scribble. So my point isn't to use the wrist in one particular direction. I keep it loose and gestural so the pencil's constantly moving. But with a pen, I want to get a nice clean stroke, and so I'll go in one direction. But some people have better control going in other directions. You know, it depends on you and what you do and your strengths and whatnot. This is just kind of how I developed. That's why I'm reluctant to do videos talking about how how do you draw a person, or how do you ink a page or something like that. I'll probably do more of them, but I don't want people to draw like me. I want them to draw like them. I want you to find your own voice, your own style, and the style comes from it really comes from doing it wrong. Like I heard one teacher put it this way: "Style's what you get when you can't do it right." And when I first heard that, it made me angry. I was like, "You're a jerk." But I kind of believe that now. And it's not necessarily that I'm doing it wrong. It's that I choose to not do it the right way. So, and that comes from, you have to learn how to do things the right way. You have to learn how a figure actually works. You have to learn how the skull works and how the facial muscles work, and you have to learn all these important things to draw it really realistically. And then you throw those rules out the window and you break them. But you can't break the rules until you know them, because up to that point you're just making mistakes as you go and not really having any control over the situation. So yeah. So if you want to find your own style, which is a question I get from people a lot, that's basically it. You need to learn how to do it right, and then figure out which rules you like and throw the ones you don't out the window. Because in the end, there's really no right way to do it, unless you want to be like Michelangelo or Donatello or Leonardo. No, I'm just kidding. If you want to be a classically trained artist, there's a right way to do it. I've mentioned a couple times the school I went to in California, which was the Jeff Watts Atelier, and they teach the way they taught in the Renaissance, which is you've got one master that teaches everybody in the school, and it's taught very rigorously how to draw the figure, and understanding anatomy, understanding painting, understanding everything, and doing it very well. Like you go to school like that to get good. You don't go for a degree. You just keep going until you get it. You get really, really, really good. There's no finish line. And in the Renaissance, the way they taught, they used to believe that you couldn't be a master illustrator until you'd been taking classes for 20 years. You've been learning from a master for 20 years, which is different than the way we look at things now. Now we're like, well, how do I, I want to be amazing now. I want to get really good now. Show me which book. Show me the video, and I want to get, and I'll buy that book, and that's how good I'll get. I'll get it right away. But it doesn't work like that. That's not reality. Reality is lots and lots of work, lots and lots of mistakes, lots of trying, lots of failing, lots of little baby steps, little successes to get to where you want to go. My cat just ran away. So, how long is this video? I don't know. Looks like it's 20 minutes, or an hour maybe. Speaking of my old school, Jeff Watts, you probably have seen Proco, his channel. Proco's got some great stuff, and he actually teaches at the Jeff Watts Atelier. That's where he developed his skills. In fact, I think he started about the same time I did when I went there, which makes me think I should have stuck around. But there were reasons I had to leave. But Jeff is actually opening his own online instruction, so you should check that out. I'll put the link in the description box. I think it's definitely something worth looking into. I know I only went there for 8 months. It was about 2 semesters, and I learned more in those two semesters than I did in 3 years at college and 4 years of being self-taught. It was definitely worth the experience and the money, and it was actually less expensive than community college. I paid cash for it, where I'm still paying off student loans for my university degree, and I didn't even finish the degree, and I got so much more out of the Jeff Watts school. And Jeff's school isn't the only one out there. There's a lot of great schools. That's just the one that I went to. You guys live in a golden age for learning art. You should be very excited and thankful for all the opportunities that you have right now. You can take online classes from people that have been, that you would have had to move halfway across the world in order to meet, and now you get to just meet up with them once a week online or whatnot. I gotta stop saying whatnot. Punch me in the face. So, this guy's looking fancy. Alright. I'm going to add a little white, and then I'll probably finish it up a little on my own. I just don't want this video to go too long. So to sum up, my apologies to Chris Hart. Not that he needs it. More than anything, I want to apologize to you guys. It is not okay. I don't want you to think it's okay for me to criticize people. And I'll tell you a story about it, just to show you why it's important. Like, the thing with criticizing people is that you, not only are you making it okay for somebody else to criticize that person, but if you do it enough times, people start to wonder, what's he saying about me behind my back? And they start mistrusting you and being cautious about what they say around you, because they don't want to you to talk bad about them. But more importantly, I've found that if you have an intention to help people, to be a teacher, or to be a mentor, or to be somebody that people respect in general, you have to be very careful about the words you use, because you curse somebody if you talk badly about them. You give other people permission to judge that person before they've even met them, and so you've cursed that person's life before they even have a chance to establish their own reputation with them. And that's bad, especially if you're somebody that is respected. Like, my intention is to be somebody that people respect and look to for guidance and instruction, and I have an obligation to maintain that respect. And I'll give you an example of it. One of my best friends, she's like super sweet and like one of the nicest people, and she never ever gets mad at anybody. Like, and she's always been like that ever since I met her. And in fact, I learned how to be kind again because of her, how to get my youthful enthusiasm back, and my my joy, really, just from this friendship. But I remember at one point she started working as a like a shift supervisor at a coffee shop, and one day she was telling me about this employee that she had that she couldn't stand, and this person was just she was always starting fights with people, even with employees, or even with customers, and she was always just smelly and angry and just a very unlikable person. So unlikable that even my friend didn't like her. And the more that this was like over a course of a few weeks, the more she told me about this person, the worse the situation seemed to get. And it finally occurred to me that, like, are you saying any of this stuff to the people you work with? Like, you know, your friend, I know you guys are friends and stuff. And she's like, yeah, well, you know, they bring it up, and she's just a very frustrating person, and she's just such an angry person, you know, it's hard to like her. And I said, yeah, but are you saying anything about this? And she's like, well, yeah. And I said, see, the thing is, you're not an average person. You are like the nicest person. And if you don't like this woman, what is that saying to everybody else in the world? If the nicest person in the world hates this woman, she must be the worst person in the world. And so the situation, that's why it was getting worse. And I said, what you need to do is bring love to the situation. And that's the phrase I use to remind myself. It's love, not judge. And so she started going into work and being excessively nice to this woman, and trying to find opportunities to help this woman do more. And she started having her do, she found out that this woman was an artist, and she started having her do like chalk artwork on drawing advertisements for the coffee shop on the sidewalk outside. And so this woman would even come in on her off time to do that. And she started becoming happier and nicer, and over the course of 2 weeks, her attitude like completely changed, and the attitude of everybody that worked there completely changed. And this woman came in and told my friend, I need to leave, I'm quitting. And she's like, why? She says, because I need to go check myself into rehab. I've been, you know, I've had a drinking problem for a long time and an anger problem, and I haven't had anybody be kind to me in a long time until you. And she left. She like moved to Vegas and got into rehab, and was completely out of my friend's hair. And that happens sometimes when you judge and criticize. Not only does it give other people to judge and criticize and pile on to somebody that seems like they are fully deserving of criticism, but maybe they're deserving of it because they don't feel like they deserve love. They deserve to be judged and hated, and I know I've been that person. I don't know why I ever thought it was okay to judge people, because I've been in situations where I felt like there's nothing I can do right. I was just always in trouble. And so there's no point in trying to be nice. There's no point in giving back and contributing. And so my behavior was making things worse, and so was the behavior of everyone around me. And so I've been that person, and I've been the one that caused the situation. And so what it comes down to is love, not judge. Right, Mr. Mellon? Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. And I promised more upbeat videos from now on. I just wanted to get this out of the way. I've actually tried making this video like 3 times. That's why it's up like a week late. But thank you guys for watching. And I hope you got something out of this. And keep smiling.